Hey guys, I know it's been a long time, and first allow me to apologize for using the crappy front-facing camera on my phone because I seem to have misplaced my actual video recording camera. I have no idea what I did with it, and even though I'm probably long overdue to get a new one anyways, it's a bit inconvenient, you know what I'm saying? So a happy new year to all of you. I hope everyone is on their way to having a greater and better new year, a good 2015. And I hope that all of you have an amazing 2015. So before I realized it, it was actually time for the jet interviews to start kicking around. And I only realized because a couple people contacted me and they're like, oh, you know, the jet interview is coming up. Can you give us some advice on this? And I was like, whoa, it's that time of year already. I had no idea. And so I apologize for that delay. And I hope that whatever advice I give can actually help you guys out. First and foremost, to everyone who has made it through to the second stage, who has passed the annoying and tedious paper application process and gotten to the actual interview stage, omedetou gozaimasu. I hope you have an amazing interview and that you're able to get through and achieve your goals. To everyone who sadly did not make it to the next stage, I'm sorry to hear that, but don't lose your confidence. Don't lose your confidence. Keep trying. If it's something you really want to do, try again next year. I know that the whole application process can be very annoying, and a lot of the times you maybe just can't find the motivation to make that push and go and apply a second time or a third time. But if it's something you know that you really want to do and that you'll get something out of it that will really benefit you in the future, go for it. Keep shooting for it. Keep shooting for those goals, no matter what. So with regards to the actual jet interview, I remember when I was getting ready for that, and it was this big issue for me because I was worried about the 1,000,001 questions they could possibly ask, and I kept worrying. And it's legitly, when I went to my interview, it was the most nervous I've ever been in my whole life. I was literally shaking. My heart was like beating like crazy, and the nice security guard who works at the Japanese embassy in Jamaica, she actually gave me some pretty sage advice and helped me to calm down. She was basically saying that, you know, did you do your application yourself? Did you write all the information on it? Did you lie in your application? If you didn't do any of these things, you have nothing to worry about. You just go into the interview and answer honestly and do the best that you can, because nobody knows exactly what they're going to ask. Sure, there is a certain frequency to questions they may ask in certain countries, but I also think that in Jamaica specifically, that frequency doesn't really apply, because when I was looking on the potential questions, when I was doing my research online for the questions they may ask people for jet interviews, and you see all those answers coming in from Canada, America, the UK, everywhere, a lot of those questions did not come up. Well, not in my interview anyways. And so it's really different across countries. Sure, some countries may have a greater frequency, but I found that with regards to my interview, it was very strongly tied to my application, like very strongly. Like a lot of the questions weren't super general at all. And I think that's something that a lot of you can take heart in, like relax about it, because if you did your application, you should be fine. So I know just hearing me say that, a lot of you are like, yeah, we all know that, but that doesn't really help me, or you're maybe still worrying. I would preferably not go into specific questions they may ask, so you go and start trying to rehearse answers or something. But I can understand the worry, and so I will share with you a couple of the questions that specifically came up for me, even though it's hard for me to remember a lot of them. But you can listen to them and get a general idea of what you might be asked. So with regards to my application, like they asked questions that focused around specific topics. So one of the topics that they focused on for me was with regards to placements. They were wondering if I got placed somewhere that was outside of what I selected, if it'd be a problem. And they went to look on the fact that I wanted to focus on things in the more technological fields, like gaming, animation, stuff like that. And they were asking basically if I got placed in a more rural type area, if it'd be a serious problem. And I told them that for me, it wouldn't be a problem, or not a serious problem. Reason being, I wanted to improve my Japanese. And so I believe that being in a bit more rural area where you don't encounter English that much, like Tokyo, you encounter a decent amount of English, not too much like in some countries like maybe Korea or somewhere like that, but it's at a decent level. Like, you can survive in Tokyo with very, very limited Japanese. And I told them that it wouldn't be a serious problem because I really want to improve my Japanese. And I believe that being in a not urban environment will help me to do that, because I'll be forced to interact with more Japanese and less English. And also that wherever I'm placed, I'd still try to network with people and try to make connections. Even if I have to travel to like Tokyo or Osaka or wherever, I could still try to make connections with people who are possibly in that industry, or even other ALTs who are maybe targeting that industry could try to make a connection. So that wouldn't be a problem for me. Another thing that they asked, another topic that they tried to focus on was how you'd interact with students or your co-workers. So one thing they asked me was if I was asked to do things that are outside of what I was required to do. For example, I'm being sent here to teach English. If it'd be a problem if they asked me to take part in some of the sport activities that they have, or some of the clubs and stuff like that. And I told them no, I'd actually look forward to it, because I really want to be able to go and interact with my students, to have fun with them, to share memories with them. And I believe that, especially here, that when you're interacting with kids outside of the classroom, that's one of the best times to really form a bond with the students and help to get closer to them, so that in classes they associate with you a lot better. And I have found that to be so very true. Like, when we're in classes, especially initially, a lot of the students are very reserved, like super reserved. Some of them, like the Sandensei at my junior high school, they were a bit more, forthcoming with, hey, you're a new face, let's have some fun and do crazy things, and let me tease you about your bad Japanese. But a lot of the other students weren't so forthcoming. And what you realize is when you get outside of the classes, they interact with you a lot more, they say a lot more, and they're much more willing to try and break that language barrier and talk with you. And then when you try to have that one-on-one with them, or one on a million with them, when you get into the classrooms, they talk with you more, they associate with you more, and that's really good. So I told them that wouldn't be a problem for me. And then they asked, what if something like that happens and it potentially will interfere with what you're actually being sent there to do, teach English? And then I told them that if that becomes a problem, then I'll have to have a talk with either my supervisor or whoever's in charge, because that can't work. I'm being sent here to do a specific job, and even if there's something else I enjoy doing, if it's going to interfere with my job, then I need to cut it off. I need to cut it off, or I need to have a talk with them and see if we can make some adjustments or some changes that will better accommodate my work schedule. Another interesting question that they asked was, if a student came came to my door one night or something and like was offering me a present, what would I do? Like, just come up to my house randomly and starts giving me a present. I was like, huh? But no. I told them that I would have to tell my student that, it's really, I appreciate their thoughts, but it's really not very acceptable for them to come to my house like this and especially be giving me presents. That wouldn't work. And I told them that I would have to tell my student that if there's something they need to discuss with me, then we'd have to go and do it at school with like the other teachers, or if we need to discuss something with their parents, I'd need to go and, discuss with their parents or something. They can't come to me at my house and be giving me presents and having whatever discussions or whatever intentions they apparently have. So, basically they want to make sure that you don't have plans to go and do anything with your students, basically, which you really shouldn't be doing, because a lot of these students are underage. None of you should be trying to get involved with your students. I'm just saying. And another topic that came up, they asked me, this was actually around Valentine's Day, that I had my interview on Valentine's Day. That's very interesting. I always told people the reason my interview is on Valentine's Day is because it's my date with destiny. I am such a lame person, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm gonna move on. So they asked if there were any holidays in Jamaica that I wanted to share with my students. What would it be? And so at first I was a bit thrown. I was a bit thrown at first with this. It wasn't a curveball because I was kind of expecting it, but at the same time I wasn't sure what to answer. And so at first I was a bit reluctant. I said maybe something like Easter or something, and I told them that, I could tell them like what we do during Easter and stuff like that. But at first they're a little reluctant with that. Like they seemed that they weren't very happy with that answer. And then boom, it hit me. Today is Valentine's Day. We could discuss Valentine's Day in Jamaica, talk about the differences. And then I followed that up with the fact that we could discuss Carnival as well, because they said as one of the things that the students enjoy, they like a lot of, cute things and stuff like that. So I tried to emphasize on those points to really pick it up. And I emphasized like how we could talk about how colorful some of the holidays are or celebrations and stuff like that. And after I said that, they picked up and it was a lot better. Like you could tell that my response was a lot better right there. For other questions, I don't remember a lot of them. I'm really sorry. I really wish that I remembered a lot of these questions, but I know when I came out of that interview, initially I intended to write down the questions as soon as I finished. But after what I went through with panicking to try and remember questions and predict what I'd be asked, I remember coming out of the interview and saying to myself, I'm not going to write them down because I don't want to go and when I create videos to share with others, they go through what I went through, like this great panic and worry about memorizing questions and all of that. Try not to do that. Try not to do that. Go in there with a clear mind. Just do your best. Do what you do. Answer honestly. Answer honestly. And one important thing. Try to be, like, don't go in there looking, or something. Like, try to have a nice, try to be calm. You can look a little nervous. They expect you to be a little nervous. That's fine. But don't make it cause you to have a frown or look like super worried. Go in there with a positive energy to make them tell that, this guy, this girl is very genki, very energetic, very, healthy. Just genki. All of you have done research on Jet. I'm pretty sure you know about genki. You know about being genki. So make them feel like you're genki. You are genki or a relatively genki person. And that will help you a lot as well. Because I remember after I got accepted and we had an orientation, some of the people who interviewed me came to me and they're like, I knew you were going to be chosen because during the interview, you seem like a very genki person and I could tell that the kids would love this energy from you. And that was one thing that helped me. I wasn't like bouncing off the walls in the interview room or something. I just had a very positive attitude. And even listening to others who give feedback on Jet interviews, they try to tell you and emphasize that even if they ask you a question, like they ask you about something and you know the answer is no, or it's not something you would favor or prefer, don't lie to them and say yes. Don't do that. Like say no, but, and then put a positive spin on it. Like for example, if they say, I have no idea what I'd say. But for example, if they say, how would you deal with being in a rural area where no one speaks Japanese and you yourself, you don't speak Japanese either? Would that be a serious problem for you? Tell them that, you're honestly going to be worried about it. Don't tell them that, well, some of you maybe not, but for most people it'll be a bit worrisome. Don't lie about it. Say, yes, it'll be a little worrying, but as a part of this experience, I'd like to really open up myself to learning the language, embracing the language, and interacting with people in my neighborhood because I'm pretty sure it'll be a very interesting experience for me to learn Japanese through speaking and interacting with these people. And they would maybe also be interested in learning some English from me and things about my culture and my country. So it'll be a very positive experience. I'll be a little worried, but it'll be a positive experience. Put a positive spin on everything you say. Try not to be negative, like just no, like damn it, no, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that or whatever. No, because if you do that, it shows that you're not willing to adapt. And one of the key things that they want to have out of people that they're putting on the JET program is that they know they're going to try and adapt. They're going to try and adapt to Japanese culture, adapt to Japanese society, because it is a very different culture, very different, very different. And they want to know that you are willing to try and make those changes, to try and accept certain things that are different. And you're not just going to go and a couple months later or 1 month in or something, you're there sitting in a corner like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. And you're talking about going home, because then it puts them in a difficult position and it just throws off a lot of things. So those are some things that will help. I hope that the things I said are helpful. I'm not sure. It's really hard because just if nothing else, take away this one thing. Be honest, be positive. One thing, and I'm making a list. It's silly me. Take away these things. Be honest, be positive, be fairly genki. Don't be like super bouncing, but let them feel like, you know, you would interact well with kids. Like you don't go and like you hate kids or something like that. No. And do the best that you can to remember what's on your application, please. Like, sure, maybe you did your application, sure, but maybe there are certain answers that you gave on it that you don't remember what you wrote. That happens. I understand. We're all getting older. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fine. It's fine. But run back through your application. Remember the things you wrote in your statement of purpose and what you answered the questions with. And this is just so that you're able to better follow up on your answers, because they're comparing what you say with what's in your application. So if you say something that falls completely out of line with what's in your application, that's a X mark right there. That's like, no, this person's lying or something. There's something suspicious about this person. It's possibly not going to work. That drops you in points. So you're maybe further down on the ladder. So do that. Run back through your application. Honest, positive, genki. All right. I can't remember anything else really. Hopefully some of this long rambling that I've went off on has been somewhat helpful, at least to some of you or all of you, hopefully. If there is anything more that you specifically want to know from me, shoot me a message or just ask me. Leave a comment, shoot me a message, something. I will get back to you. I've been pretty good about getting back to people. I try to, because I understand the pressure you're under, how much you're worrying. I was there. I understand. And I'm going to try to help you the best that I can. So feel free to contact me. Okay? Do your best, guys. I wish all of you the best. And I hope that all of you can achieve these goals, these dreams. Get on the JET program, get accepted. And join me and the other LTs here in Japan. It's a great time, guys. See you around. Oh, a couple last minute things that I forgot to mention. Regarding dress code, it's a job interview basically. So don't go in jeans or casual clothes. Wear a nice, for guys, you know, you wear a nice suit if possible. Maybe you don't necessarily need a jacket, but it can be nice to have or wear. I know it gets hot in Jamaica. And, you know, wear a tie, have a nice button-down shirt, wear some nice pants, a nice pair of shoes. Girls, I can't give you advice on what to wear because it's hard for girls. But wear nice job interview type clothes. I'm sorry. But wear nice job interview type clothes. I'm pretty sure all of you have a decent idea of what a nice pair of clothes that are suitable for a job interview will look like. And one more thing. On my application, I said that I had very basic Japanese knowledge. So I was at a basic level for reading, writing, listening, speaking. And what happened for me was when I went there, they gave me a piece of paper to take to the Japanese person who was in the room. I don't remember his name, but there was this Japanese guy who was in my interview room, and he worked with the embassy. And I had to take the paper to him. And what I did, I'm not sure if this is what you're supposed to do necessarily, but what I did, because I figured it was a kind of test of your Japanese level, I went to him, I took it to him, I introduced myself in Japanese, and you know, I was like, Hajimemashite, watashi no namae wa Mark desu, yoroshiku onegai shimasu. And I gave it to him, and yeah, basically that. So keep that in mind if you chose that you have basic Japanese level. Also, they give you, if you choose that you have some level of Japanese know-how, they will ask you to do a small Japanese quiz type section to gauge if you're lying or not, or what your exact level is. And for me, what that was, the guy, he had a book that had some diagrams, and they were like balloons, like similar to a comic book type of thing. And he told me to say, he'd point at a balloon and tell me to say what I figure is most appropriate in this situation. So there's a guy like on a bus beside a lady, and he was on the bus and pointing at the seat beside her. And you know, the balloon, I assumed it'd be like, if it's okay to sit beside you. There's some other stuff like that. And then after that, now he started to have a Japanese conversation with me basically, and he would ask me questions in Japanese to which I would need to answer, such as one question I didn't answer, sadly, because my Japanese, even though it's still not great, he asked me what will I do, or what do I do after I eat dinner. So he'd ask me things like, what time do I eat dinner? What do I do after I eat dinner? What are my hobbies? And things that I'm interested in. Things like that. Like, if you choose on your application that you have a certain level of Japanese know-how and you're not lying, you should be fine. You should be fine. I got through. I'm here now. And yeah, it's fine. So yeah, up until now, that's everything. And I'm about to try and get this video uploaded because time is running out for all you guys in your interviews. So, once again, guys, all the best on your interviews. Do the best you can. And don't stress it. Don't worry too much. Just go in there. Try to keep as calm as you can. And do you. Do you. See you around.